Now here at the shop we get a lot of questions like, "Hey guys, what can I use for leather for my bag, huh? What's this? Is this good for my belt?" Questions like that. And we're here to answer them for you. All right, so when you're choosing leather, there are 3 key points. What is it, Dom? It's temper, weight, and tannage. What we mean by tannage is it chrome tanned, veg tanned, or is it combination tanned? Now the difference between chrome tan and veg tan is basically what chemicals are used and how it's made. Veg tan uses natural tannins just like tree bark and some animal oils, but no toxic chemicals when it's being tanned. It's going to be a little bit more expensive because of the way that it's tanned. It takes a lot longer, sometimes maybe months, compared to a chrome tan that can be done instantly. And then lastly is this one, which is called a combination tanned. Half and half, they call it. So it's half chrome and half veg tan. This one acts like both of the two together, so you can find that balance where maybe mold is a little bit more than the veg tan. Also has that kind of water resistant and it has that softer initial feel to it. The benefit of combination tan and chrome tan is a little bit cheaper where we are compared to veg tan, but there are some leathers that look like this and are veg tan. Like this one. This one's called the koala. I really like this one. And it's more of a softer mid-temper. And there's also this one, which is the firmer temper in 2 ounces. Now, after the tannage, you have to make sure to think about the temper. Now, that's another one in the dictionary books. Temper is the firmness or schlampiness. Is that a word? Or how easily it molds or how easily it moves. There we go. Not schlampy. Now, temper describes how easily something moves. So something like this, which is the Heritage Soft. This is here, soft temper. You see how easy it is. Perfect for garments. Or you got something like a medium to firm temper. It's a little bit more structured, a lot harder to bend around it, but it's easier for card wallets and bags or anything like that you want to have structure. Like a mid to soft temper, which is the grind. So it moves a little bit more, but it's not as stiff as, let's say, the natural veg tan. Natural veg tan is very stiff. If you roll it, you can see that this is very firm, we call it. So this will be called a firm temper. Now after the tempers, now we have to talk about the weight. That's another key point. The weight of this one, which is a veg tan medium soft temper, is a lot different than what it is with this one, which is a soft temper. Now they're both 2 ounces. So that makes a big difference when you're choosing leather. And so you have to make sure to pay attention to the temper when you're ordering online. Now, when we're talking with leather, we're talking about the weight in terms of thickness. I don't know why, but it makes sense. Maybe Google can answer it. An ounce is equal to 1/64th of an inch, which is 0.4 millimeters. We'll go over what kind of leather to use and how thick for different types of products. Now that we have those points explained, let's move on to which leather for which. Let's go. Now, choosing a leather starts with the same question as Ryan Gosling said on The Notebook. What you want? What do you want? What do you want? Now, this list is subjective, but we do have some guidelines on what leather to use for what project. So let's get to it. Now, when we work with leather, we have to consider that there's too many things that's going on, too many things to consider, and it can be very overwhelming. So we're here to make it a little bit easier on you. So if you're a maker and you need more information about leather, projects, or any information, please hit the subscribe button. It'll help us a lot, and hopefully we'll help you out a lot as well. And if you have any questions, send us an email. Send us a raven. Send us a pigeon, because we'll reply to you. No problem. For the first one is the classic bifold, or anything that's card wallet related. Usually with card wallets, I like to stick with the 2-3 ounce, being that you are stuffing a bunch of cards in it. It's easier to have less bulk. Now, for a bifold, it's okay to use a thicker one on the outside, especially when you're using it for tooling. But for the inside, you want to keep it thin. Now, this leather right here is the Heritage, and it's sitting at 3.5 ounces. Now, this can be pretty thick when the cards show up, but overall, it's going to keep that integrity. The bifold at 3.5 ounces, 4 ounces, cutting it close to a thick piece, but best to stick with 3 ounces. Alternatively, you can use 2 ounces for your wallets as well. This is the Odyssey that I used here for the outside, which is a 3-4 ounce. But we do have some pieces that are 3 ounces, so you got to make sure what you are buying. So, and the inside over here is a thinner leather as well. We're looking at 2 ounces for the inside, and it keeps that structure. So for bifolds and card wallets, I would say about 3 to 4 ounces. 4 ounces maximum. Best to do it at 2. All right, moving on to belts. So this right here is called the Maremma. It's an Italian double bend, and it's sitting at 9 ounces. So 9 ounces to 10 ounces is pretty good for belts because it keeps its shape, it keeps its strength, and as the years go by and as the more you use it, the more supple and soft it gets. Alternatively, you can also use the Latigo, which is about a 7-ounce, 6 to 7 ounce leather. It's a little bit more stiff, it's chrome tanned, and it's nice to use for leashes as well. So similar to the belts, you could also use the Latigo for anything like this. All right, now what about small bags, like this toiletry bag? This was made by Say, one of our instructors, and he used koala for this one. Let's listen to this for a second. So this is 4 ounces of leather, so it keeps its structure really nice. So if you're making a bag like this, the koala might be the best bet. This one, or even the Heritage Soft. A Heritage Soft might be a little too flimsy when you're doing something like this. So if you want structure, a 4 to 5 ounce would be nice. Now this kind of leather as well is perfect for backpacks or anything that you're making that you want to be close to your body because it feels nice, first of all. And secondly, it keeps its shape. And then again, thirdly, it is nice and scratch resistant. And it's very good at keeping the scratches out. So I would use this one if you want something that's less prone to scratching. Leathers like the Maremma or anything like that are prone to scratching, especially if you're using it as a tote bag or as a backpack or anything that you're pulling out and hitting stuff with. Now, if we're looking at tote bags, this one can be done with 4 to 5 ounce. This is a Heritage 4 to 5 ounce, and it keeps its shape. Now, right now I have an anvil on there, so let's take it off. It's nice and structured, and when it comes to bags like this, it's really, really strong. And this kind of leather, you could also just put some rivets, and it'll hold for a long time. When you're using softer tempered leather, especially like a Heritage Soft or anything like that, what'll happen to the rivets is it'll stretch over time. And it might be unsightly, or even the rivets might come off with it as well. So you have to pay attention to what temper you buy. So this tote bag at 4 to 5 ounces is perfect. You can go even thicker than that, and it'll be more structured. But the best way to do it is to go minimum 4 ounces. Maximum would probably be 7 ounce. If you're looking at straps for bags, especially with a tote bag or anything heavy, you want to go with a thicker leather like and Latigo, which is 6 to 7 ounces, or even thicker if you want it to be. It all depends on how you want it to feel. All leathers will soften up over time, so all up to you. When it comes to straps, we recommend nothing lighter than 4 ounces. If you're looking for a tote strap, that would be about 6 to 7 ounces would be great. If you want a little bit thicker, you can go for a 9 to 10. Anything thicker would just be excessive, and it will be really annoying, and it hurts. I wouldn't recommend it. If you're using straps, always make sure to know what you want to do with it and how you want it to feel. And when it comes to thicknesses, that's all up to you as well. So, lastly, jackets. Now, this one was made with Heritage Soft. This actually has cow suede. This is made... Oh, I forgot where I was. Damn it, FedEx! All right, now lastly, we're working with jackets. Now, this one is made with a Heritage Soft, which is a little bit more robust kind of leather. It's a little more, how to say, stronger. It feels more like a hug when you're wearing it. So when you're choosing jackets for leather or jackets for leather, you're choosing leather for jackets or even garments, you want to consider what you're wearing it for. So this one is more of a heavy-duty leather jacket. So this leather is about 2 to 3 ounces. It's nice to have. It's more like a hug, and it's heavy. Now, if you want more of an elegant, luxurious jacket, you want to go with a thinner leather, such as the lamb. Now, lamb is very thin, but it's very hard to work with since the pieces that you get are not as big as it is for getting a cowside leather. So if you want something thinner, a little more elegant, I would say go for a plongé, which is a 1.5 to 2 ounce. And the number 5 as well, which is around the same one. They're softer, less grain on them, and a little softer depending on what you're using it for. Alternatively, you can also use the cow suede. Now that one's a little more of a specialty leather because it's a cow suede split. It's not going to be the full top grain. Now again, this is very subjective, so whatever you make, it's going to be up to you. Test it, try them out in small pieces so you know exactly what you're going to make and how it's going to feel and how you want it to look over time as it ages. It's all up to you.
Hey guys, Shane here with Lonsdale Leather. Just here to tell you a little bit about the differences between leather types in relation to the weather. Specifically, I'm going to be going over the differences between veg tan, chrome tan, and oil tan. First off, I'll talk about veg tan because that's my favorite type. With veg tans, you don't need to use any finishing on them if you don't want to. You could just use natural veg just as is, but it will definitely pick up a lot of watermarks, especially if it's raining. You set it down and it gets some water on the bottom, which isn't like aesthetically ideal. If you do get veg tan wet a lot, like over time, it can kind of dry out the leather, so that's also not super ideal. So there's a couple things that you can do to add some water resistance to it, or kind of keep it nice and fresh, is just to use a basic leather balm. There's about a million different options out there. We make one at the shop called the Legacy, which is super nice. It's pretty light, so you could just add that to your finished bag if you wanted to. You could also use something like mink oil, liquid, or paste. Those will definitely add a little bit of water resistance to your piece as well, and keep it looking pretty nice because it's not going to darken the veg tan that much initially anyways. There's also a heavier option, which I've used a few times on some natural veg bags, and that's Arctic Dubbin. So that's silicone and mink oil, maybe a few other things, and that's just really going to seal it in. That's also really good on like boots and that kind of thing, but you could use it on a bag if you were using it a lot outdoors in the winter. So that'll definitely be a good option. But like I said, you don't have to do anything to veg. Regardless of what you use though, it is just going to darken over time anyways. It's going to pick up patina, just from the sun, from the oils in your hands. Keep that in mind, especially if you're making a bag for a client and they like the look of natural veg initially. It's not going to stay the same, for very long. That kind of goes into our next type of leather, which is chrome tan, which is a really nice option for bags. It tends to be a little bit softer than a natural veg. So it's going to be a little bit more broken in, so to speak. It also might, depending on the chrome tan that you go with, it might just have a little bit more water resistance just on its own, just from the tanning process, from maybe the oils and waxes that are in the leather. So that's going to be a really nice option. It won't probably darken as much as a veg tan would. So if you have a client who likes a certain type of leather and it's a chrome tan, the color might stay more or less the same. But again, with chrome tan, you could use the Legacy balm, a mink oil, if you really wanted to. Lastly, we've got our oil tan leathers, which are just chrome tan leathers with a lot of higher oil content. So those are super good options for folks who are making a bag that's going to be used a lot outside in the rain, the winter, that kind of thing. I've made a few bags, especially out of the Montana. That's one of my favorites, just because it has that really nice pebble grain. It's got a really high oil content to it. So that holds up really well in the weather. I can say from experience, even 5-6 years on, one of my bags that I made still looks really, really nice. Even if it gets soaked or whatnot, it tends to not really ruin the look of the leather too much. And then again, you could add some Legacy balm or some mink oil to the oil tans as well. So that's it. So that's the recap. That's pretty much it in terms of leather types versus weather types. Hey man.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, that looks pretty good.
I was going to finish up this video, but you're doing it already?
Well, we fired you, don't you know? We'll talk about that later. So in any case, whichever leather you go with, veg, chrome, oil tan, they'll probably all work. It just depends on your goals for the bag and how much you want it to wear, and there's a bunch of factors that go into it. But hopefully this was helpful for y'all, and if you do have any other questions, just drop us a line, info@lonsdaleleather.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.
For all of you watching and have made it to the end, thank you so much. It really helps us grow our channel. And also, we have a YouTube giveaway happening at the moment. All you have to do is comment on any of our videos and subscribe, and you will get 50 entries when you comment on any video, and 1 when you subscribe. You can also get 50 extra entries when you share the pinned posts on our page on Instagram, and that's 101 entries just for you. So increases your chances of winning and helps us grow as a resource for your leather work. So thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.